Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on The Flash Season 4. So welcome to another episode of Theory Breakdown, or Theory Busters, whichever you want to say, like whatever you want to call this series. And in this video we will be going over the subject of various theories that have been popping up ever since, well, just before the Invasion crossover from last season. And that goes up right until this point in time as well. And that is the future Flash, no, not the one from 2024, but the Barry Allen from 2056. But obviously before we get into the rest of the video, be sure to leave any other theories that you would like me to go over in this series, no matter how crazy or simple they are, just leave them down below. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like just to show your support for this series and the channel as a whole. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new. So we got our first introduction of sorts to this Barry Allen or Flash from 2056 in the third episode of Legends of Tomorrow Season 2. And this is when Jax and Martin Stein, or the Firestorm duo, came across a secret room within the Wave Rider in which this message from Barry Allen from 2056 was located.
Our old friend has hailed the Wave Rider.
Let's play it.
Sorry to contact you like this, Captain Hunter, but I can't risk putting any more lives in danger.
But this is from Barry Allen.
It is only from 40 years in the future.
And neither can you.
Fascinating.
Which is why you'll keep what I'm about to tell you a secret, even from the rest of your team.
However, most of us would have heard the full message in the Invasion crossover, and just to refresh everyone's memories on what was said, here is what 2056 Barry Allen had to say.
A war is coming, Captain Hunter. And at some point, you're going to be called back to Central City to fight it. So you need to know that while you and your team have been in the temporal zone, I made a choice that affected the timeline. As you know, whenever you alter the past, those changes affect the present and get compounded in the future. When you return, you will be in the new timeline I created, where everyone's past and everyone's future has been affected, including yours. When you come back, don't trust anything or anyone, not even me.
Where did you get that from?
So the Barry Allen in 2056 that would have recorded that message and sent it off to Rip Hunter would have been 67 years old at the time, which would of course mean he is a drastically different Barry than what we have currently. Barry has been through a lot in just 3 seasons of the show, so just imagine what he would be like at the age of 67. Just imagine what that version of Barry Allen has most likely gone through. It would be pretty insane. But due to us hearing this message in Legends of Tomorrow and then the Invasion crossover, it has led to a lot of speculation and theorizing on how and when we will see this Barry Allen from 2056 in the flesh in the Arrowverse at some point for the first time. So let's go over the major things involved with the 2056 Barry Allen up to this point on the shows, and then we will also go over the things that support this Flash from 2056 showing up, as well as the things that go against it. So in the crossover, when Barry heard his own message from the future along with the others including Jax, Martin Stein and Oliver, he had to, come clean about what he had done, what Flashpoint exactly was, and the ramifications it had on various people involved in the crossover that he knew about at the time. So this, along with making these various changes to the timeline, it made out that due to Flashpoint, these changes made everyone sort of untrustworthy, as they technically weren't the same people that the Legends would have known before they left. But really, the only person who everyone saw as sort of untrustworthy after this was Barry Allen himself. But that was sort of like quickly turned around as Barry showed some heroics to save most of the cast of the crossover. I think it was in that exact same episode. And then towards the end of Season 3 of The Flash, shortly after the reveal of Savitar, who of course ended up being a version of Barry Allen, we saw Cisco say that this is what the message from 2056 was referring to, which, I'm sorry, but that was terrible writing. So let's just completely forget that Cisco ever said that. If you'd like that part in Season 3, then fair enough, but I found it stupid, so I'm not even going to include it in the rest of this video as evidence from here on. I'm just really mentioning it as it happened on the show, and I knew people would bring it up in the comments saying, oh, you forgot this part at the end of Flash Season 3, so I sort of had to include it in this video, but I'm not acknowledging it, if you know what I mean. But now let's go over the things that support the 2056 Flash showing up at some point, and the things that sort of go against it. But if you do have any other things to support or go against the 2056 Flash theory or things showing up, please leave them in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what everyone can come up with down there. And the first pro or supporting evidence is a pretty simple one, and that is that they, just set him up. As I said, it's pretty simple, and that's why it is the first supporting or pro point for this. They acknowledge that he exists. They included him in the crossover for a pretty big storyline point. So yeah, they acknowledged him, and that is a pro in regards to it. The second is that it would allow us to see a version of Barry that we 100% definitely wouldn't be seeing in present day unless the show got to like season 44 or something like that, which I think we all know is not going to happen. And the third and final pro or supportive point that I could come up with is that we have already seen an example of a much older version of a hero of ours, and that was in the Star City 2046 episode of Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, where we saw a much older version of Oliver Queen. If they could do that with Oliver Queen and the Green Arrow character, why couldn't they do that with Barry Allen and the Flash? I know it's very unoriginal, but they could easily just call it something like Central City 2056 or something like that. In that episode of Legends, we also saw Connor Hawke show up, so if they did like a Flash version of it, they could show us Bart Allen as the newest speedster around, something like that, because a lot of people want to see Bart Allen, but it might be hard for them to work him into the storyline. So if they showed him in like a Legends episode similar to that Star City 2046 episode, then I think that would be a pretty cool thing to see. You get to see an older Barry Allen, and you also get to see Bart Allen, which is pretty awesome. Now, our first con or point that goes against this happening is one they could easily work around, but it is still valid, and that is that technically that 2056 Barry that we saw in the crossover or heard in the crossover wouldn't be that way following the events of the crossover, as things did play out a bit differently. However, there would most likely still be a version of Barry Allen in 2056, which would still be able to appear. He just wouldn't be the same one as the one that we heard in the crossover previously. The second con is that 2056 might be a bit too far of a journey for us to see a future version of Barry. Obviously, Legends of Tomorrow have gone to further points in time than 2056. However, when they do, a lot of the time that they spend in that future is spent indoors or in like rundown areas that don't really reflect the time period that well. And if we were to go and see a 2056 Barry, I would like to see outdoor scenes of Central City in the future. We might see like Flash Museum or something like that. And due to this, it would probably be more suitable to maybe go somewhere in the 2030s roughly, where there would only have to be like slight changes to the look of things to make current days seem like the 2030s. And that second con of ours sort of connects to our last con or point against this 2056 Flash showing up, and that is that I really don't think they could really make Grant Gustin, who plays Barry, look 67 years old. Stephen Amell looks much more mature, which allowed them to do the old man Oliver look pretty well. Like, it wasn't amazing, it was a bit dodgy in some areas, but it looked pretty decent. However, I just couldn't see it working with Grant. But I do think they could make him look like he is around his late 30s or early 40s possibly, which would fit into that 2030 time period. I know it is very close to the 2024 period where we've already gone in the Flash Season 3, but it is important to remember that that 2024 doesn't really exist anymore, so we would be experiencing new untouched territory technically because, that 2024 really only existed because of what happened in 2017. But of course, Barry prevented that, so that future would be different. So if we went to 2030, it wouldn't be a follow-on from that 2024 that we already saw, it would be something new. But to sum it all up, I think it is going to be very difficult for us to see a version of Barry from 2056. However, I do think we could possibly see a Barry from not necessarily like 2040, but maybe like 15, 20 years in the future, depending on what they want to do with the show and how it would work around the show. I think it would be very difficult for that to happen on The Flash. I just don't think they would touch that again. But if they were to do an episode on Legends of Tomorrow where we did see a future version of Barry, I think that would be the best way to go. And also it is important to remember, we actually haven't seen Barry Allen on Legends of Tomorrow yet, apart from the crossover episodes, which in my opinion don't technically count. But thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, it'd be awesome if you could leave a like on the video just to show your support for the series and the channel. Let me know all of your opinions in the comment section down below, as well as other theories and stuff you would like me to go over in this series. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys, and goodbye.